Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. All right. NCAA College Football Week 13. We are almost done with college football. Next week is Conference Championship Week, and then we have the Army-Navy game. Then we start bowl games. So this is the last full week. So I decided to go on a limb. I did all 65 games. So there is 65 games, 130 teams represented right here in Week 13. Week 12, I was 18-4 straight up picks, 11-11 against the spread, 12-10 on the over/under. Year to date, 255-92 straight up picks, 178-169 on against the spread, over/under 166-181 for overall of 57.5%. I am very happy with that. Make sure you check out the Week 13 rankings. Those are my own proprietary system on rankings. Make sure you check that out. So we're going to get started here. Like I said, 65 games, every game for Week 13. Buffalo Bulls 4-7 versus the Ball State Cardinals 5-6. Ball State favored by 6.5. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 58.5. The West Michigan Broncos 6-5 versus the North Illinois Huskies 8-3. West Michigan is actually favored by 4 here. I'm giving a 4 to North Illinois. I got North Illinois +4 and over on the 62.5. Fresno State Bulldogs 8-3 versus the 5-6 San Jose State Spartans. Bulldogs are favored by 7.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 52.5. The Ole Miss Rebels 9-2 versus the 7-4 Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are favored by 1 at home. I'm giving that 1 to Ole Miss. I got Ole Miss +1 and over on the 16.5. The 7-4 Boise State Broncos versus the 10-1 San Diego State Aztecs. The Aztecs are Broncos are favored by 2.5. I'm giving the 2.5 to the Aztecs. Then +2.5 and then over on the 44. East Michigan Eagles 7-4 versus the Central Michigan Chippewas, who are 7-4 as well. Central Michigan is favored by 8. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 64. Kansas State Wildcats 7-4 versus the 4-7 Texas Longhorns. Some of these lines I don't get. Texas is favored by 2.5 at home. You know what? I'm giving that 2.5 to Kansas State. I got Kansas State winning, covering, and under on the 52. The 3-8 Ohio Bobcats versus the 3-8 Bowling Green Falcons. Ohio is favored by 5.5. I got them winning, covering, over on the 48.5. The 8-3 Utah State Aggies versus the 3-8. The 8-3 Aggies versus the 3-8 New Mexico Lobos. Utah State favored by 16. I got them winning, covering, over on the 49.5. The 9-2 Iowa Hawkeyes versus the 3-8 Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska is favored by 3.5 on the road, or at home, sorry. At home, I do not like that line at all. I'm giving that 3.5 to Iowa. I got Iowa winning, covering, and under on the 44.5. 7-4 UTEP Miners versus the 7-4 University of Alabama Blazers. Blazers are favored by 13. I got the Miners covering the 13 and over on the 50. The 11-0 Cincinnati Bearcats versus the 7-4 East Carolina Pirates. Bearcats favored by 14. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 58. Coastal Carolina 9-2 versus South Alabama Jaguars 5-6. Coastal Carolina favored by 14.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 57. The Missouri Tigers, after their big win against Florida last week, 6-5, going up against the Arkansas Razorbacks, who are 7-4. Arkansas is favored by 14. I got them winning, but I got the Tigers covering the 14, under on the 62.5. 2-9 South Florida Bulls versus the 7-4 UCF Knights. The Knights are favored by 18.5. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 62. UNLV Rebels 2-9 versus the 8-3 Air Force Falcons. Air Force is favored by 18.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 49.5. The 4-7 Colorado Buffaloes versus the 8-3 Utah Utes. Utah favored by 24. I have Colorado covering the 24, over on the 52.5 for Utah. and then winning. TCU 5-6 versus the 6-5 Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State favored by 14.5. TCU covering and over on the 58. North Carolina Tar Heels 6-5, 8-3. North Carolina State Wolfpack favored by 7. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 63. Washington State Cougars 6-5 versus the 4-7 Washington Huskies. The Cougars are favored by 1.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 43.5. The Akron Zips 2-9 versus the 6-5 Toledo Rockets. Toledo Rockets are favored by 28. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 57. Army West Point Black Knights are 7-3. Liberty Flames are also 7-3. Liberty is hosting the Army Black Knights. Liberty is favored by 3.5 at home. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 54. Florida State Seminoles 5-6 versus the 5-6 Florida Gators. The Gators are favored by 2. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 59. Houston Cougars 1-10 versus the Connecticut Huskies. Cougars are 10-1. The Huskies are 1-10. Cougars are favored by 32.5. I got them winning, covering, thinking over in the 57.5. So Huskies win. They cover the 32.5 and over on the 57.5. Battle of the 5-6 Big Ten teams, Maryland Terrapins and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Terrapins are favored by 2. Got them winning, covering, and over in the 53. Miami of Ohio Redhawks 6-5. Going up against in Kent State Golden Flashes. Kent State favored by 1 point at home. I do have them winning, covering, and under on the 65. The 2-8 Navy Midshipmen versus the 3-8 Temple Owls. Navy favored by 13. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 43.5. You know, there's been a couple years where the Navy-Army game where both teams were good, so it made that game even better. This year, Navy's not so great. All right, we have one of the matchups of the weekend. We have the 10-1 Ohio State Buckeyes going up against the 10-1 Michigan Wolverines. This is exactly why the current system doesn't work, and here's what I say about that. Both these teams are 1-2 in their conference, so literally the loser of this game will not make the playoffs. Plain and simple, you're going to be 10-2. You know, if you're Ohio State, your 2 losses would be Michigan and Oregon. Michigan will be 10-2, and you'll be 10-2, and then Michigan will be 11-1. If you're Michigan and you lose, your 2 losses would be to an 11-1 Ohio State and to a 9-2 Michigan State. So you have great losses, but you lost. Yeah, I think we need to get to some type of where there's no committee picking it. So basically, you win your conference, you win your division, you win your conference, and you're in the playoffs. Plain and simple. There's no, well, there is a chance, and we've seen it before, where a non-Big Ten champion made the playoffs, but the Big Ten champion did not. Ohio State made the playoffs, and Penn State won the Big Ten, did not. So that same thing could happen here. You know, whoever wins this game, if they lose to either Iowa or Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, you could have one of these teams go with it. Yeah, it's gonna be it could be a mess. If Iowa or Wisconsin wins the Big Ten and beats one of these 2 teams, I think it'll be a mess. But if one of these 2 teams wins, hey, they're the best team to go on. Ohio State's favored by 8. I'm actually picking Ohio State. I know they're in Michigan. That is a huge rival game. I got Ohio State winning. Get them covering the 8 and over on the 64. Texas Tech Red Raiders 6-5 versus the 9-2 Baylor Bears. Baylor favored by 14. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 52. 11-0 Georgia Bulldogs versus the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who are 3-8. The Bulldogs are favored by 35. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 54.5. 9-2 Wake Forest Demon Deacons take on the Boston College Eagles, who are 6-5. Wake Forest favored by 5. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 64.5. 6-5 Miami Hurricanes versus the 3-8 Duke Blue Devils. Hurricanes are favored by 21. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 68. Battle of the 3-8 teams. Louisiana Tech Bulldogs and the Rice Owls. The Bulldogs are favored by 3.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 53.5. The 5 and 6 battle, the Charlotte 49ers and the Old Dominion Monarchs. Old Dominion favored by 10. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 56. 5 and 6 Troy Trojans go into Georgia State Panthers, who are 6 and 5. Panthers are favored by 6.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 49.5. The 11 and 0 University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunners take on the 5 and 6 North Texas Mean Green. Roadrunners are favored by 12, winning, covering, under on the 59.5. We have Texas State Bobcats 3 and 8 versus the 2 and 9 Arkansas State Red Wolves. Red Wolves are favored by 2. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 61.5. The Georgia Southern Eagles 3 and 8 versus the 9 and 2 Appalachian State Mountaineers. Appalachian State is favored by 24.5. I got them winning, covering, over on the 55.5. The 1 and 10 Florida FIU Panthers 1 and 10 versus the 2 and 9 Southern Mississippi Eagles. Eagles are favored by 10. I got FIU covering and under on the 46. 5 and 7 Hawaii Rainbow Warriors versus the 6 and 5 Wyoming Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 10. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 48. We have the battle of the 1 and 10 teams. We have the Massachusetts Minutemen versus the New Mexico State Aggies. It will end in a tie. No, I'm kidding. I know there's no tie in college. I know. New Mexico State is favored by 6 at home. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 59. Next up, we have the Iron Bowl, the 10 and 1 Alabama Crimson Tide versus the 6 and 5 Auburn Tigers. This is the 86th annual Iron Bowl. Alabama is 47-37-1. They've won 7 of the last 10. In the last 4 games, it's been every other game. It went from Auburn, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama. So if you follow that logic, Auburn should win this. If you follow logic, Roll Tide, they are the best football team in college, next to Georgia, of course. You got to take Alabama. Alabama's favored by 19.5. God, I really want to go Auburn here. Even when I'm going to Alabama. I mean, you can't go against Nick Saban. I mean, 10 and 1, second best team in college. I got them winning, covering the 19.5, which is a big ass number, and I'm taking over in the 55. The 2 and 9 Indiana Hoosiers versus the 7 and 4 Purdue Boilermakers. Purdue is favored by 15. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 50. Northwestern Wildcats 3 and 8 versus the Illinois Fighting Illini 4 and 7. Illinois favored by 6.5. I got them winning, covering, over on the 42.5. The Battle of Oregon, the 7 and 4 Beavers at Oregon State going into the Oregon Ducks at 9 and 2. Oregon Ducks are favored by 7. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 61. Next up, we have the Wisconsin Badgers 8 and 3 versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who are 7 and 4. Wisconsin, if they win the Big Ten East, and they're good to go. If Wisconsin loses and Iowa wins, Iowa should win the Big Ten East and go against either Michigan or Ohio State for the Big Ten title game. Wisconsin is favored by 6.5. I'm rooting for Minnesota here. I got Minnesota winning, covering the 6.5 and over on the 39. The 7 and 4 Penn State Nittany Lions versus the 9 and 2 Michigan State Spartans. Spartans favored by 1.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 52.5. Western Kentucky Hilltoppers 7 and 4 versus Marshall Thunder and Herd, who are also 7 and 4. Thunder and Herd are favored by 1. I'm giving that 1 to West Kentucky. I get them winning, covering, and under on the 75. The Vanderbilt Commodores 2 and 9 versus the 6 and 5 Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee is favored by 31. I got Vandy covering and over on the 62.5 with the Volunteers winning. The 1 and 10 Arizona Wildcats versus the 7 and 4 Arizona State Sun Devils. Sun Devils are favored by 20. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 52. University of Louisiana Monroe Warhawks 4 and 7 going up against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, who are 10 and 1. Raging Cajuns are favored by 21.5. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 54.5. 5 and 6 Tulsa Hurricanes versus the SMU Mustangs, who are 8 and 3. The Mustangs are favored by 6.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 62. The 5 and 6 battle, Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders versus the Florida Atlantic Owls. The Florida Atlantic Owls are favored by 4 at home. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 49.5. The 8 and 3 Texas A&M Aggies go up against the LSU Tigers, are 5 and 6. The Aggies are favored by 6.5 on the road. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 45.5. The 5 and 6 West Virginia Mountaineers versus the 2 and 9 Kansas Jayhawks. Mountaineers are favored by 15. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 55.5. The Clemson Tigers 8 and 3 versus the 6 and 5 South Carolina Gamecocks. Tigers are favored by 11.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 43. The 5 and 6 Virginia Tech Hokies go into Virginia versus the Cavaliers, who are 6 and 5. The Cavaliers are favored by 7.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 62.5. The battle of the 10 and 1 teams for the Big 12. We have the Oklahoma Sooners and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, just like it's the Bedlam series, I think they're calling it, which Oklahoma has won 6 straight. This is the 126th all-time meeting of that. 100, yeah, I can't do math in my head right now. So 106th meeting all time. Oklahoma is 90, 18-7. So the winner here, to me, in my opinion, will go on to the Final Four. More than likely, the winner here, just like with Michigan and Ohio State, will win their conference, will win the Big 12. And I think the way the league is going right now and the way the conference committees, playoff committees doing it, I think the winner of this game will be just like the winner of Michigan and Ohio State will be in the Final Four. More than likely, it'll be that winner, this winner, and then Georgia and Alabama. Barring Alabama losing the title game to Georgia, if that's the case, Alabama will be sitting there with 2 losses. I think they'll put Notre Dame in. But those are my predictions for that right this moment. Oklahoma State is favored by 3.5. I'm taking the Cowboys. I'm taking the Sooners. Oklahoma State, the Cowboys are favored by 3.5 at home. I'm giving the 3.5 to Oklahoma Sooners. I got the Sooners winning. Boomer Sooner. I'm taking over on the 51.5. The 9 and 2 Pittsburgh Panthers versus the 5 and 6 Syracuse Orange. Panthers are favored by 11. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 58.5. The Tulane Green Wave, who are 2 and 9, go against the 5 and 6 Memphis Tigers. Memphis is favored by 5.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 57.5. The 8 and 3 Kentucky Wildcats versus the 6 and 5 Louisville Cardinals. The Cardinals are favored by 2.5. I'm giving that 2.5 to Kentucky. I got the Wildcats winning plus 2.5 and under on the 57. Speaking of those 10 and 1 Notre Dame Fighting Irish to take on the Stanford Cardinals, who are 3 and 8. Notre Dame favored by 17. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 52.5. The 7 and 4 Nevada Wolfpack versus the 3 and 8 Colorado State Rams. The Wolfpack favored by 5.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 55.5. The 9 and 2 BYU Cougars take on the USC Trojans, who are 4 and 6. Cougars are favored by 7. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 64. And last but not least, the 65th game of this week that we're doing here on Robert Sports Show. California Golden Bears 4 and 6. UCLA Bruins 7 and 4. UCLA favored by 7. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 57.5. All right, that is all 65 FBS games for Week 13. Next week we have conference finals, Navy Army game, and then we start the playoff run. We start the bowl games. I will have picks for all the bowl games in each and every week throughout the season until we crown a national champion. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show, and don't just have a great day, have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.